paraphernalia for sports paraphernalia. We got the Giants Super Bowl hat over there. We got some awesome baseballs that were signed. My brother-in-law is big into sports and so forth. He's a police officer, so it's been an incredible journey, personal journey for myself. Growth. It's been a great journey for my children as well, because they are now getting to meet a side of their family that they hadn't met before. When I was in Key West, I met one of my cousins. I met a niece and a nephew that I hadn't seen their entire lives. She's 21 and he's 15, and we met, and it was beautiful, and we saw each other again now. And come September, we'll be back up in New York for another one of my nephew's wedding. So it's really great. And then my daughter is having her bat mitzvah, so everybody's coming down to Florida in October. So these next couple of months are really impactful and are going to be incredible with the family and connecting and just growing those ties. So it's been incredible. We're 4th of July tomorrow, guys. So happy 4th of July. Happy Freedom Day. Let's not take this for granted, right? So many people sacrifice so much so that we can be in this incredible country that has to offer so much opportunity. It doesn't matter where you come from or what you do or what language you speak or what color is your skin or the color of your eyes. If you can get up in the morning and you are passionate about something and you have a desire to succeed and you put together a process and a system, you have to be successful. There's no other way. That you cannot not be successful. You got to be focused. You got to have your passion. You got to do something that you love. You got to do something that's scalable and something that you can automate as well. You got to learn how to delegate and use other people's efforts and other people's money and other people's intelligence and so forth, and you can become wildly successful. So I want to thank everyone out there who has sacrificed and who is sacrificing and who is spending time away from their family tomorrow to make sure that we can be with our families. So I want to thank you for being there and for celebrating and for protecting us. So we've got a great show for you today, and by the way, I want to say, so after 4th of July, my family and I we're going out to Salt Lake City, Utah, to go hiking in what is it? What's out there? Is it Yosemite or Yellowstone? I think it's Yellowstone. So we're going to be going out to Yellowstone for about 2-3 weeks. We're going to be hiking and just exploring nature and communing with nature and connecting and bonding as a family. So I'm really excited about that. And then from there, we're going to be going to Boston because there's a huge networking event for real estate investors, lenders, people that have money, people that have deals. It's going to be about 1,000 people there. It's called Ultimate Partnering. It's done by my mentor, David Lindahl. And if you go there, you got to buy a ticket, right? It's incredible. Last year, Sugar Ray Leonard was the keynote speaker. And the year before that, Emmett Smith. So these people are like really incredible people that have gone through challenges, that have really started with nothing, just with sheer desire and passion to be the best. And it was very inspirational, motivational, and it was incredible to hear them speak. So I'm looking forward to Boston, July 19th to 21. And then from there, I'm shooting right over to Dallas to another real estate conference. It's a boot camp where people are going to be learning. So I want to sit there and hear from experts as well so that I can advance my knowledge. I'm always looking to learn more and to share and to build a community of investors that we can, instead of compete with one another, we can collaborate with one another and go out there and buy these huge assets and make great returns, make our investors happy, and have a win-win for everyone. So what I want to do now, we got a great show for you. Great show. I've got two gentlemen that have their own podcast. They have their own investing model. They also teach multifamily investing. You guys might have heard of them, Jake and Gino. Gino Barbaro, and I'm reading here, he's an investor, he's a business owner and an entrepreneur. He's been investing in real estate for 15 years, has grown his multifamily portfolio to over 900 units in 5 years. That's awesome, dude. That's incredible. Good for you. He's teamed up with Jake. I'm gonna probably butcher this. Jake Stenziano. And they created jakeandgino.com, which is a real estate educational company that offers coaching and training. He's also the best-selling author of Wheelbarrow Profits. Jake Stenziano is the best-selling author also of Wheelbarrow Profits and the co-founder, obviously, of jakeandgino.com, which is the real estate investment education company that teaches investors the 3 pillars of sound apartment investing: buy right, manage right, and finance right. Jake is also the founder and chief operating officer of Rand Property Management, first property management company with a focus on modern affordability. So we're going to talk about syndications. We're going to talk about learning. We're going to talk about multifamily, what you as a new investor should look for, and some of the challenges that they've had in their years of investing and how they overcame those challenges. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to listen to our sponsors. And when we return, we will have Jake and Gino on the show. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Listening to The Traveling Investor on W4CY Radio. Please take a moment to listen to the sponsors. You're listening to The Traveling Investor on W4CY Radio. Please take a moment to listen to the sponsors who have a secret message just for you. Don't leave. The best is yet to come. The Traveling Investor will be right back.
Behind everything you're searching for is something you're actually looking for. When you search with the Real Yellow Pages, you get more than a contractor. You get a whole new curb appeal. It's not just getting directions to a dry cleaner with YP.com. It's rescuing an old favorite from the back of the closet. And it's more than finding a locksmith with YP.com on your mobile. It's getting to sleep in your own bed. Whatever it might be, there are more ways to search and more ways to find exactly what you're looking for with the Real Yellow Pages, YP.com, and YP.com on your mobile, only from AT&T. Behind everything you're searching for is something you're actually looking for. When you search with the Real Yellow Pages, you get more than a contractor. You get a whole new curb appeal. It's not just getting directions to a dry cleaner with YP.com. It's rescuing an old favorite from the back of the closet.
Fiesta Pet Deli, South Florida's original and only fresh food deli for pets. We carry a full line of products like Bravo, Nature's Variety, and BioComplete. We have FDA-approved meals that are prepared daily. Stop by our brand new store located at Sample Road and the Turnpike in the Festival Flea Market in Pompano, Florida, or call 954-971-2500. Check us out online at www.realfoodforpets.com. If your pet's overweight, suffers from skin problems, or you suspect food allergies, we have the solution. We also carry a large variety of pet strollers, bedding, apparel, collars, leashes, natural chews, and grooming supplies. Veterinarian owned and operated, Fiesta Pet Deli's mission is to help every pet owner have the healthiest pet they possibly can.
Hey
Call
guys,
us today
how are
for
you?
local deliveries or shipping throughout the United States.
I got Gino on as well. I'm trying to figure out how to merge
Deli
them
today at 954-971-2500. That's 954-971-2500.
We're on break. I started. When we come back,
W4CY Radio.
Can you add Gino on as well, or let me add him here?
I think that John is going to call him. All right, so we're starting. So
Attention listeners, we are preparing once again for takeoff.
So
So
we're gonna
please
talk
return your
about-
seats as W4CY
Dude,
Radio
background
welcomes back
areas
your
to
real
join.
estate guru,
Awesome.
the traveling
how you guys
investor,
met.
Son Mosery.
Hey, travelers, welcome back. Nitsan Mosery, the traveling investor, and this is where you're going to learn how to master your mind, body, and wallet. And once again, I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank Jake and Gino for being here. What's happening, guys? Welcome.
Hey, how's it
We're
going?
doing good. How are you?
Awesome, man. Awesome. Thanks for being here. So you guys are my kickoff show with video. So we're live. We're all over the world right now. We're streaming
we
in
bring
5
the
different
pain.
countries, and it's fantastic. So let's get to it, man. So how did you guys meet?
Well, it was a story. It was a love story of a pizza guy and a drug rep. Okay, I see. You said this is the first time we're going live video here, and I see the New York Giants something in the background. I think it's probably under a Yankees picture there. So you got a couple of jabronis from New York who decided to get into real estate. But realistically, I was using Gino's restaurant for all my orders. I was a pharmaceutical rep in Westchester County, New York. And I was just sick of the taxes. I was fed up with it. I was fed up with the weather. And I said, I'm either going to northern Florida or I'm going to East Tennessee. Ended up moving to East Tennessee. And Gino was going through, real estate education at the time. And this was going back to 2011. And I said, hey, these prices look a lot different than New York. You want to take a swing at this? And we basically got rejected for 2 years. Brokers were, saying, y'all are never going to do business down here. This is just ridiculous. I'm not going to accept your offer. And what we realized is we didn't have any credibility. And that's why people weren't taking us seriously. But, after 2 years of rejection, we finally got into our first deal. It was a 25 unit. It definitely was not the prettiest property we've ever purchased. It had a lot of issues with it, but we cut our teeth on that. We figured it out, started systematizing, created our framework, buy right, manage right, and finance right. And from that point, we're off to the races.
Awesome. That's very funny that you mentioned that, because I've had the same kind of issues when I got involved in multifamily. We were talking to brokers and whatnot, and they said, the first question out of a broker's mouth is, what was the last deal you've done, right? What did you close? Blah, blah, blah. I've got single family. I've done this. I've done that, right? But no multifamily. So how did you guys overcome that credibility aspect of it?
Well, for me, it was all about education. For me, it was all about creating a credibility book, like I call the call as a business plan, and partnering with somebody. So you can get over that objection in a couple of ways. Just knocking on enough doors and saying, "Hey, I'm here," is number one. Number two, getting into a smaller deal, maybe doing a duplex or a triplex or a quad as your first deal, getting that as credibility, and then say, "I'm ready to go. I'm ready to scale up." Because I know from my experience, as the famous Jay Scott says, you either do 0 deals or you do multiple deals. There's nobody out there that's done one real estate deal. So once you do your first deal, Jake and I did our first 25 unit. 3 months later, we got a 36 unit. 6 months after that, we got 136 units. So it's all about that first deal, making sure that it pencils out, making sure that you've got a good, safe deal, and then showing it, proof of concept, and then moving on and trying to scale up. How do you scale up in this business? Maybe you start raising money for somebody else's deal. That's an easy way to get into it. That's one way you can do it. Partner up with people. Use creative financing. That's another way you guys can get into the deal. And we've done it all. We've partnered up. We've done creative finance deals where we bought 281 units. It was an $11 million deal, all owner financed. Wasn't our first deal, but you can do it. There's so many different ways of getting into multifamily. So,
yeah, and to Gino's point, I really think it comes back to education times action equaling results. We had a ton of energy. We were going out there. We were kicking on doors. Gino had got educated. He was coaching me as we were going. And it really just came down to the fact that we weren't going to quit. We kept knocking on the door, and eventually we were able to kick it in. So I think that persistence piece in the beginning, it seems like a pie in the sky to a lot of people. They're looking up saying, 60 days into it, I'm done. This is never going to happen. And it's the belief. Real estate in the beginning is mindset. You literally have to condition your mind to believe that you're going to get in the game, and you just have to stick with it, because eventually you will break down that wall. If you give up, you're not going to obviously get anything. So it's sticking around, being pesky until you get that first deal done. And then what Gino alluded to a minute ago, the snowball started rolling. We went from 25 units to 1,500, 100 million in assets within 6 years. So it's getting that first deal done, getting that credibility, and then really going after it. Once you get in the game, it's about systems, though. I mean, initially, it's mindset, it's education, it's action, and then it's figuring out your systems and your frameworks.
And I think, Jake, the other important thing is also you have to pursue it as a business, right? Most people who get into it or doing single family homes, they may perceive it as, hey, I'm doing real estate, but really it's multifamily and any kind of business. It's really a business. You really have to set up systems, and you really have to treat it as an asset management. You're an asset manager, and you're managing, whether it's a triplex or 10 units or 700 units, you're managing that asset, and you're trying to really drive the net operating income of any deal deal, trying to raise that up, and you're trying to raise the value. So if you can look at it from that perspective, I wasn't when I was the mom and pop. I had the fourplex. I was running around fixing, toilets and all that. There's nothing wrong with that. But as you get bigger, you see the bigger picture. You're able to actually hire more people with multifamily. You can hire property managers. You can hire leasing agents, and you can start creating those systems. But in the beginning, it's all about getting that first deal.
Wow, travelers, you're listening, and I got to say, the nuggets that these two guys just dropped in the last, 2 minutes that they were talking, was pretty much everything you need to know about multifamily, about real estate. You got to go in, you got to, it's going to take time, right? You guys hit on a couple of things that I want to elaborate on. Let's first talk about the mindset, because I'm very big into mindset. I'm very big into transferring negative limiting beliefs into positive expanding beliefs, finding out the core attachment issues that people have had from childhood and how we can reprogram that so that you can go out there and become that successful person. Because money is not the is not the result of success, right? Success,
money is not the cause; it's the result. That's exactly, right. Yes, right. Profit is not. Yes, profit is the fuel. It's not the destination. Actually, that's how you should look at life. And I'm a life coach. So I became a certified professional coach 3 years ago because I was going what you're talking about. I had those limiting beliefs, those energy blocks, right? And people out there have assumptions. They might have lost money in a deal in real estate and said, hey, it's too risky. And I've lost a lot of money on real estate back in the past. So I could have assumed that it's risky. But what I did is I went to coaching school. I figured out what my why was. My why was my family. I've got 6 children. I want to lead an empowering life. I want to actually help people out. Once I found out what my sole purpose was, let me figure out how to do it. And to me, multifamily real estate was the key to do it, by building it, by being able to create my lifestyle. So everyone out there, really just Google the word life coaching and see what's going on in your life. Look at your limiting beliefs, challenge those limiting beliefs, challenge those assumptions that you have, and what I call the gremlins, those really inner voices, that inner critic that's going on inside you. And let me let you in on a little secret. We all have it. The most successful people on the planet have it. Those that overcome it really get help and really get coached on that and say, let's get it out in the open. Let's see what it is and let's talk about it. And, partnerships will really help you overcome a lot of that, because the guy, on the other side of the mic over there, he's driving me nuts this year. We wrote another book. We've got 4 shows.
Come on, man.
4 podcasts a week. I've got hundreds of students now. We're breaking down doors. We're putting
my butt's always burning. What can I say, man? Come on.
But if I was by myself, it's about the accountability. Having a coach is being accountable. Having a partner is the accountability. So if you can't get in on yourself, if you're scared by yourself, go with somebody else. That other person, you're more willing to do more for Jake than Gino's for himself. So I'm more willing to do stuff for Jake. I don't want to let him down. I'm on this call right now because he wanted to be on the call. If I was by myself, I may a little late tonight, I might not do it, but I'm going to do it for him. So partnerships will allow you to do that. The mindset will help you, but I think the accountability piece is huge.
But also the flip side to that, Gino, when we first started out, I had limiting beliefs. I didn't even know the word limiting belief. And as we're going through it, you're mentoring me on the real estate. I had a ton of energy, and I still do to this day. And that's why the partnership worked out so well. But Gino's talking to me about limiting beliefs. I didn't think that I could get into a 25 unit. I didn't think I could get into a 281 unit. And he turned me on to this idea of limiting beliefs. And it's like, really, why not? Someone else has already done this before. Why can't I? So after we got that 25 unit, we realized we're just stacking zeros behind these things as we grow with these. So It wasn't that big of a deal. And then we started to get into strategy. And then we started getting into systems. And I want to touch on strategy a little bit because I just read an article today in Multi-Housing News. And this is what it said. It said customer service increases net operating income. Now, we operate in the B and the C apartment space, and we know that our Blue Ocean strategy has become the best customer service property management group out there, because we're going to serve those tenants and we're going to get increased net operating income because we're not going to have less turnover than the next guys. And that's where people are missing in multifamily now. And it was great to see that for Multi-Housing News, because a lot of folks just say, I'm going to get into a deal. It's great. I just did a 300 unit. Woo! Let's ring the bell. The work starts after you take over. The work starts on day one. So I want everyone to know that, because it is a business. This is not just we're getting into it hunky dory. The work starts day one after you take over, and that's when it's time to drive NOI.
And Jake, if you're not doing it, you're going to hire a property management company to do it, and you're going to hold them accountable.
Touched on that earlier.
That's right. So
absolutely. The way, my company, we don't manage our assets. Right? We give them to a third-party management company. Let them manage it. we get on our Monday morning calls, we look at the Monday morning reports, and we evaluate it. Now, when I was working in corporate America and I had my own businesses as well, you hate Mondays, right? Monday's that sluggish day. You're foggy from the weekend. It's the beginning of the week. Who the hell wants to go and work on Mondays? I look forward to my Mondays now. I go to my office, I pop open the computer, and there are my Monday morning reports, and I'm looking to see what's going on. And it's enjoyable because I know, for many reasons, right? I know that while I was sleeping, there were other people that were helping me make money. We're managing these assets, like you said, to give incredible customer service because we want to create a community for our residents to be proud to live there so that they are our best customers, right? They're our best advertising as well. They go out, they tell all their friends and family, hey, you guys got to come live here. It's fantastic. Look what they're doing for us. Look how clean it is. Look how awesome it is. I had a leaky faucet yesterday. Today, I don't. Service is great. And you're absolutely 100%. It's all about that customer service. But let me take it a step further. It's not just only with the tenants and the residents, but you have to have great customer service for your investors as well. Because you can communicate to your investors, and when you're open with them and transparent with them, and they feel as if you're communicating constantly with them and they know what's going on the property, it adds another level of their comfort so that when you do have another property under contract, you can go back to them and they say, you know what? I have full confidence that you guys are going to continue doing what you're doing, and I love the way you're treating me and handling the property and everything. I'm going to reinvest in another asset with you, right? It cuts down your time the way you have to go in and find investors. It cuts down on, as you said, turnovers and so forth, which ultimately increases the NOI, right? So go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's really interesting that you bring that up because, our company focuses a lot on core values. And really, as we look at across all our brands, we ran family of companies, we have debt. We let, basically people come in and we help place debt for them. We have students on the Jake and Gino end. We have investors on the syndication end and residents. The overarching strategy of everything is world-class customer service. Give a shout out to the Jaybird there. He's on the education side. It's the white glove service of multifamily education. That's what we're looking for. And it doesn't matter which entity, which brand we're talking about. It's the same core goal, and it's all based around service. So I completely agree with you.
Yes. So let's talk about some of the challenges you've had. What were some of the worst experiences you've had in commercial real estate, right? Because everybody knows, when things are great, things are great. You raise the money, you close on the property, the rents are going up and whatnot. But when things go sideways, and we as investors and we've been in the business long enough, we know that things always go sideways, right? And again, it comes back to that mindset. When things go sideways, do I throw my hands up in the air? Do I say, why does this always happen to me? I knew this was going to happen to me. You know what? I'm out of here. I'm done. Or does the mindset start to kick in and say, all right, here's where we are. That's the obstacle that's in front of us. What do we do now? So what was one of the challenging obstacles that you guys had to overcome on one of the projects you were working on?
Jake, I'll jump in real quick with my story.
Sure.
And I know you've got countless stories. I was the mom and pop 5 or 6 years ago. I had a commercial property. This is important, everybody, because at the commercial property, I had a leak. There was mold, right, growing in the unit, and I didn't know. I actually brought a professional out there. He didn't even think it was mold. I start ripping stuff down. It's mold. So for me, being transparent with the tenant, I should have been more transparent with them. I should have given them more leeway. I should have told them what was going on. I saw that as a level 10 problem. I didn't know what to do. I was overwhelmed. I already was burned out. I should have had systems to take care of that. I learned from that. So the next time I had that situation, I would know how to handle mold. And listen, if you want to do it that bad enough, you're going to have to learn that problem. And once you figure that problem out, whether a tenant dies in the unit or whether you have mold or whether whatever, you're going to go through it once. The next time is going to be a lot easier. So just look at it that way. I ended up getting rid of the tenant. I ended up selling the building, lost a lot of money, which is great learning experience for me. But when you overcome and have a problem like that, just take a step back and just realize you're not the only one. We've been through it all. Everyone's been through it, and it's a learning experience. Find out what the opportunity is from that problem, because there's always an opportunity, whether to learn, whether to find another team member, whether to figure that problem out. Jake, hit it up, bro. I know you've got plenty of them.
Death, theft, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That is multifamily. Okay. If we ever write the real book, that's what's coming out. But I'm gonna be cliche for a minute. and say that you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. I know you've heard it a million times. The thing with us, we started off managing our own stuff. 25 units, getting kicked in the teeth daily with some of the most challenging employees in the world. We were being sued. We were trying to do the right thing, but we were working with the wrong people. Gino, we had a brainstorming meeting the other day, and he says, from here on out, we're working with people we like.
It's a sniff test. The sniff test is if I don't like you, I'm not going to work with you. And I told Jake that. And even with our students, onboarding students for our Jake and Gino community, if I get the vibe that they're not going to work and they're going to kick and they're going to be a negative to the community, I don't want to work with them. Yeah, and it's easy to say that now as I'm older. But if I had done this in my restaurant business 15 or 20 years ago, I probably would not be here speaking. I probably own 15 or 20 restaurants. But that's okay. That's just not the way it was. But that's the one thing I tell everybody. It's a short-term pain. Rip off the Band-Aid and deal with it in the short term, and I will guarantee you in the long term. But also convey to your employees and convey to your community what your culture is. I mean, our culture is unwavering ethics, people first, blue-collar work ethic. It's not my job, is not in our vocabulary. I mean, that's Jake's favorite. That's not normal because we all do it. So if you can convey that to people, and you're going to attract what you are, not what you want. That's important. So if you're a level 3 person, you're going to attract level 3 people. So just take a stock of where you are in life and then say, you know what? There's no employees out there. I can't find these things. Well, maybe they're not there because you're not ready to get them into your life.
That's right. And that's the long view. So here's my story. I had a big buildup, and we're going with one of many. But as we were scaling, we were probably 300, 400, maybe 500 units in, had some employees on the team. We were really trying to vet everybody, make sure they're doing the right things. One of the people that were with me from the beginning turned out that they were basically starting to let friends in and not charge them. It came through. So there was a lot of theft early on. We had to figure that out. And then this one really hurt me because the person was there, thought they were on the team, thought they had the right ethics, but they were stealing. And so this wasn't the first time, but it was one of many times we had to go let the person go. We had to fire them, go and find them. And from that point, though, the person that was working with me to help me, I asked them, I said, what should we do here? We're seeing this problem. Obviously, they're stealing. And this person who's on the team now, who's our regional manager, said, look, this is an ethical thing. You can't have this, or it's not going to go in the right direction. So that was one of those pivotal moments. And it's really when this core value started to come through for the company. Gino touched on the unwavering ethics. You hire and fire based on core values. And that's when we really dropped the hammer and said, we're not dealing with this kind of shit anymore. We let the person go. And from that point forward, we started really building the culture of our family of companies. And from, look, you're going to have issues regardless, employees, things like that. And it's multifamily. These are people's homes. But from that point forward, we really cemented that unwavering ethics piece, and we haven't looked back. So it was really a pivotal moment for the organization.
That's great. And it's funny. I have a very similar story about mold. We bought a 240-unit hotel in Memphis, Tennessee, a mile and a half away from Graceland. Elvis used to hang out at the bar in his latter part of his life with his manager. So when we were doing our due diligence, and this is another very, like you said, you learn, right? You learn from your experiences, from stupidities. We were doing our walkthrough on the hotel, and the owner didn't want us to go into certain rooms on the 4th floor. He says, I have them locked. I can't find the keys. Let me come back, blah, 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 blah. Of course, something's going on in those rooms. We went. We said, you know what? It can't be that bad. All right. We went. We bought the property. Seller financing. We paid $8,000 a door. Cheap. We went. Now we're renovating the property. We went in and we opened these rooms, and there was shelves of mold. When the mold grows out, it's not just that little
looking like juniper mold
shelf. Right. You can put your books on it and whatnot. It was unbelievable. We brought in contractors. Right, mold experts, $500,000 to remediate the mold. The partner were like, you know what? Let's close the hotel, sell it now. Whatever we lose, we lose. We can't afford to put $500,000 in just for mold. So we said, what do you do? Right, you got to start thinking out of the box. Right, you got to actually take that box and remove it. So my partner, and this is why you have partners, right? You have to have right partners with. My partner said, you know what? There's a mold remediation course happening 5 hours away from me. I'm going to get in my car. I'm going to drive there. The guy who wrote the book on mold remediation was giving the course. After she sat there and she became a certified mold remediator after that class. She talked to the guy afterwards, and we paid him $1,000 to come to the hotel, and he walked every single room, wrote down exactly what the process is, what chemicals we need, how to clean it, what to do and what not. We went out, we priced it $40,000 to do the whole cleanup.
Mm-hmm.
$40,000. But you got to be, when we heard that $500,000 bill, we were like, all right, done, next, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get that shock, and then you're like, okay, let's take a breath. Let's figure out what we need to do. Let's take one step forward. What's that step going to be, right? Always got to be one step forward, one step forward. We went, we mediated the mold, $40,000. We did everything that he said. We got, other inspectors to come, and now, we did mold checks and air and the vents, and now it's perfectly clean. So, guys, when you're listening out there, travelers, just because somebody tells you something, it's not set in stone, right? You got to figure it out for yourself. Freak out a little bit. Take your time.
Get 3 quotes minimum. Like that's the old rule, right? Don't get at least 3 quotes because people will test you, on everything. So absolutely. So yeah, and it's funny. You guys went out and your first multifamily was 25 units. My multifamily with my business partner was 26 units out in Leesburg, Florida, about an hour north of Orlando. And I'd never heard of Leesburg. And this was an issue, our first deal, and it was a good thing that we had great support from our mentor and our coaching and whatnot, because if not, we would have failed at that one, and we probably would never have done another multifamily deal because of the taste that would have left in our mouth. But because we had the coaching, we had the systems, we had people helping us out and giving us ideas, we were able to move forward on that. So, congratulations as well on building that education company and helping people, achieve success so that they can, go out and live life on their terms, right? That's what we're doing here, right? We're creating passive recurring income streams so that we can go out and play whenever we want, right?
I agree.
So, so when we're talking to new investors, right, people out there in all around the world, and they're looking, and they want to get into multifamily investing, what would you say would be a great place for them to start?
Sure, Jake, let me take this real quick. I think there's a couple things that everybody needs to do when they're thinking about multifamily. First of all, think about why you're doing it. There's a lot of reasons why to do it. You have to convince yourself why multifamily. For me, it's an amazing vehicle. It's great tax benefits. It pays down the principal. I can cash flow. I can control it, right? And I like it. I like it as a way to build my business. The next thing is, how are you going to get into it? Do you want to partner and do this day to day? Do you want to syndicate and raise money? Do you want to get into other partnerships? I think you have to figure out that aspect of it because there's so many different ways of getting into multifamily. The third thing is, are you in a market where you can start buying yourself in market? I was living in New York, couldn't buy in New York. So I went out of market and I went to Rochester. So there's a different element. I'm working outside my market. It's not hard to do. There's a lot of people who have done it. You need to learn how to vet third-party property management. Start small. I started with a couple duplexes in Rochester. I had a property management company. It was a low barrier of entry to me. It was a great learning process. You need to focus on a market is the first thing. But even before that, please spend 3 to 6 months on education. As Jake had said, I'm an Italian. I like to farm. If you're a farmer, you plant the seed. You've got to wait months before you get any kind of crop. And that's what multifamily or any kind of business is. You need to, do work on the front end, and that's a hard part. It's not the instant gratification, but I will guarantee you, if you can do that for 6 months, educate yourself, focus on a market with demographics and one that you can get to. I moved from New York to Florida 2 years ago because I wanted to invest in the Jacksonville market. I wanted that to be my backyard. That's what I did. If that's what you need to do that. If you're in, let's say, New York and you like to vacation in South Carolina, maybe you pick a market in South Carolina where you want to vacation, come down here 3-4 times a year, and that's your market. But focus on one market when you first start out. Learn the demographics. Start building a team out. The first team member you want to know is the real estate broker. Start networking with brokers. Start getting offering memorandums into your inbox and start learning the market itself. the expenses of the market, the income, the cost per unit. Start learning all of that and start learning where you want to invest in that market, whether it's a sub-market. Because let's say Columbia, South Carolina, for instance, can be a 6.5 cap market, but the west side might be a little bit more expensive than the east side. So figure out who you want to serve. We do B and C properties, workforce, affordable housing. That's what we like. We like the blue collar tenants. That's our niche. So we're the mom and pops. We focus on that. Once you do that, start getting brokers, and you have to start networking out there. What does a multifamily investor do? Take the assumption of becoming and identifying as a multifamily investor. Start going to meetups. Start talking to brokers. Start networking. Start going to RIA meetings. Start putting in LOI. Start doing underwriting. Do all of those tasks that a multifamily investor does, and you'll start becoming like one. And you'll start thinking like one. Mr. Stenzi, anything else?
Yeah, I just to piggyback a little bit, especially in the beginning, don't get overloaded with markets. 1 to 2, I prefer 1. Mm-hmm. Because you're going to be able to have better relationships with the brokers. You're going to be able to close quicker. Don't go nuts looking at 15 different markets. Go one market, go all in on that market. We're in multiple markets now, but it took us time to expand beyond that. Build the relationships up with the brokers. From there, start getting your systems in place. Partner with the right people. When you're looking for a partner, do they share the same ethics? Do they have the same kind of work ethic? Do they have the same kind of vision? What's your strategy going to be? Do you want to be the Chick-fil-A of apartments? We do. We share that vision. We want to have the right customer service. So I think it's really having a clear vision and taking a long view, understanding it's not going to happen in 0 to 60 days. If it does great for you, you're a lot better than us. Hats off. Say, I'm committed. I'm going to do this. If it takes me 2 to 5 years, it doesn't matter, because I know this is going to create a better life for myself, a better life for my family. I'm going to be in control. I'm going to be driving the ship, and I'm not going to have corporate America basically providing my income and worrying about layoffs, et cetera. This is going to be the opportunity for you to take control of your life. And as you touched on a minute ago, be able to do some things you enjoy and have more time freedom and passive income.
Awesome. Absolutely. That's fantastic advice. And I totally agree. Let me ask you guys, when you're looking at a market, right? And you mentioned, Gino, you'd mentioned your backyard, where you want a vacation. What are some of the criteria that is needed when you're looking at a specific market, right? You said New York, no, but you went out to Rochester. Why Rochester versus New York? Why do you pick another city? What's some of the criteria out there?
Yeah, that's a great question. For me, I was looking back then at cash flow. So Rochester was a really good cash flowing market. It was a linear market. The problem is I'd like to get a little bit of both, an emerging market and also a little bit of cap appreciation and some cash flow. Back then, everything was flat. My take is, if you live in California and you're looking at, let's say, Topeka, Kansas, looks like a great market. But if it takes you 8 hours to get there and a broker calls you up today and says, hey, Jake, can you come see the property tomorrow? I can't do it. That's why I chose Jacksonville, because I can jump on a plane from LaGuardia, be at Jack's Airport in an hour and a half, be there at 9 o'clock, meet the broker, get back on the plane. It costs me $300. I can do that once or twice a week for the next 6 months and not get burned out. So you want to look at the accessibility for you to get the market if it's not in your backyard. You also, obviously, it's jobs. We like the SEC, the Southeast Conference. The migration of people coming here, the affordability is really important. The population growth is important. You want also look, I guess, if you want to look at demographic trends, millennials are moving down here. They're renting. Baby boomers are retiring. 10,000 baby boomers a day are coming online. What are they doing? They're selling and downsizing. So they're the demographic. They're the drivers of people coming down to the Southeast. So you got job growth, population growth. You've got the affordability aspect of it. You've got the tax aspect of it. You want a business-friendly climate. Why is Oklahoma City, attracting multifamily and people moving there? They're not going to move there from California because they like it. They're moving there because it's business-friendly. They've got great tax situation there. That's why they're moving there. So look at these markets. And if there's any precursor, take a look what's happening in Texas. Texas is creating more jobs, I think, than the rest of the country combined. Why? Because it's a tax-friendly environment. So look at the Southeast, look at all those markets, and make sure that once the economy does slow down, that you're still going to have some type of jobs coming here. Because when the economy slows down, I'm sure they're not staying in New York. They're leaving New York. So, take a look.
Real quick, just piggyback off that. I really look at two types of strategies. You can ride the coast, your New York, your San Francisco's, buy today, hopefully you're going to sell it for more. You're basically buying and flipping, holding it for a minute. We look for cash flow from day one with the ability to force appreciation for tomorrow through excellent management. So it just depends. Again, it goes back to strategy. What are you looking for? You want to try to get a huge rip and buy something and hope to ride the wave up and time it right? That's not our strategy. And I'm not saying people don't make a ton of money doing that. We look for cash flow from day one, force appreciation for tomorrow, and we've done pretty well with that. In addition to that, within that strategy, we can refi and roll. So if we hold it for a couple of years, we get the NOI up, we'll refi, pull the cash off the table, tax-free, continue to cash flow on the asset and hold it and grow the portfolio.
Awesome. Let's talk. We have about 6 minutes left. I really want to touch quickly about your 3 pillars. What are they? Buy right, manage right, and finance right.
Right. Yep. Correct.
So talk about, buying right. Obviously, you got to buy right, right? In real estate, we say we make money when we buy. We realize that profit when we sell, right? So yes, you got to buy correctly. Managing it correctly. We spoke about that too. Making our tenants raving fans, right? Let's talk about that financing part, right? What do you mean by finance it right?
Yeah, I just want to look at it from an overarching strategy and then dive deep into the finance piece, because really it's a three-legged stool, and you have to nail each one of these. And when it comes to the buy portion, we have parameters in place. We talked about buying for certain cash flows or cap rates. Get your parameters set, stick to that, and buy on the actuals. The management piece, that really, we have a 3-step repositioning process under our Manage Right framework, but it also comes down to systems and strategy and business execution. So once you buy it, you're stuck with it, and now it's what are you going to do to make sure those are the levers you have to pull, because the day you buy it and the day you finance it, the only thing left is the management piece. Same thing with the financing. We're looking for long-term fixed rate debt if we're holding the deal. Why are we doing that? Because I truly believe that while everything seems hunky-dory right now, the 10 years in the tank, interest rates are low, if we bought it right and we're managing it right, what's our biggest risk at that point? Potentially spiking interest rate risk, okay? So if we can go in, and Gino and I, we bought our first 1,000 units in-house before we ever syndicated anything. So these are buy and hold investments. This is legacy wealth. This is generational wealth that we're creating. So we're looking to have long-term fixed rate debt. We've done 12-year terms, non-recourse. We've done 15-year terms, non-recourse. The nirvana of multifamily is the 35-year fixed HUD. It's a FHA 223F. Great product. We haven't done one yet because it's 6 months to get into it. They only let you draw every twice a year.
Months.
Yeah. So while we may do one at some point, we've been doing 12 and 15-year Fannie debt, non-recourse. Done some Freddie in there as well. But that truly is the safest product because you're fully amortizing. It's locked in, and you're taking that rate risk off. So if you bought it right, you fixed for 35 years, I'm sure you got a 3-point-something rate behind that. That is the safest place if you're managing risk. Then it's all up to the management piece of it and keeping your expenses down and driving NOI through great customer service. That's the overarching strategy. Multifamily real estate is not rocket science. It comes down to the framework: buy right, manage right, and finance right, and understand your income versus your expenses if you lock for long term like that.
Awesome, guys. Awesome. Well, we got 3 minutes left. Let's quickly, what are some things that you guys plan on doing, or you know what? Let's talk about quickly your education company. Why did you start your education company?
Because I needed to educate myself on multifamily. That's the bottom line. I didn't know what I didn't know, right? So I started getting on podcasts with Robert Kiyosaki and T. Harv Eker and Cameron Herold and Ken McElroy and Blair Singer, and the list goes on and on. These guys are really smart. How much money do I need to spend to talk to these guys? Well, you want to be on my podcast? The best way to actually learn is from people who are doing it. And I really immersed myself, and I really learned a lot. And then we started doing training videos. And, the whole mantra for me is learn, do, and teach. So I was learning how to do it. Then we actually did it. And now from teaching it, you learn that you're not an expert. You don't know anything. And if you think you're an expert, you stop learning. That's why we're continuing to buy, and we're able to teach because we're in the trenches doing it every day. You have different financial products coming out. You have different technologies coming out. You have different sales and management techniques coming out. So you're on the market. You're doing it. And it's a lot of fun. It really is a lot of fun. And the great thing is the synergy that it gives other businesses. All of our vendors have come through Jake and Gino platform. A lot of the stuff that we're learning and we're implementing in our own company has come from what we've learned on speaking on your shows like yours and from our podcast. And it's a lot of fun. And we've been able to build other businesses from the education. We've had 2 live events. Our next one is this year in October, the 19th and 20th at the Gaylord Palms in Orlando. It's going to be 600 multifamily investors there. It's a lot of fun. It gives you credibility. You meet people, you network people. If you have deals, you can raise money from the community. You can teach them about it. You have other opportunities. So the education is just, for me, it's been a lot of fun. It's been so many different benefits to us.
That's great. Well, I hopefully I'll get an invitation to the Orlando conference.
Where you at?
Happy day.
I live 3 hours south, so I'm
I know a guy. I might be able to get you in. and realistically, for me, it's the vertical integration. We have the debt company, we have the property management company, we have the education, we have the investment company, and they all serve one another. And we've done a really good job at, from within the employee standpoint of keeping the barriers down, and everyone's sharing knowledge and growing together. So it's been a beautiful thing. Awesome,
guys. I appreciate you being here. Gino, I know you're very busy, and Jake, same. I appreciate it. Are you still in Tennessee?
Yes, I'm in Knoxville. That's where the property management investment company is, and Gino's down there in St. Augustine. Okay. And we do a lot of visits, business networking. I'll be down there for a month in October. He was just up here a couple times this summer already, so we're making it happen.
Great. Well, hopefully we'll bump into each other on Spaceship Earth somewhere.
So it's October 19th and 20th in Orlando. We're gonna have to get him a ticket here, Gino. We can at least give him 10% off, right?
Done.
That'd be great.
Done, my friend. That'd be awesome.
All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for being on the show. I appreciate it. Travelers, we'll see you next week, Wednesday at 5 p.m. I look forward to having everybody on the show, and be safe. Guys, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Be well.
Thanks, man.
Ciao,
all right, we'll see you next week. Take care.
Bye, buddy.